of the minds is not, it's not by accident. I don't believe in accidents and what's not. But it was a deliberate social design during the colonial era, and we moved toward independence in 1983, but at the same time, our constitution still would have the monarchy as the head of our state,
State,
our
yeah.
federation.
Yeah.
And therefore, and then we also inherited this Westminster system of governing, which is not necessarily designed for people who are seeking to be liberated,
Yeah.
but seeking to honor a monarchy, which we do with the best of our ability. So this is us going into the next. I mean, let's start, for instance, with what we dub as culture.
Yeah.
The carnival just gone, so
Yes.
we just start right there.
Well, you're going.
And
Yeah. Don't go there, you know. How dare you go there?
The carnival just gone, and people, would propose to you that they had a very good time. And yes, you have your good time, you so-called enjoy yourself and what's not. But to dub it as our culture and trying to connect it to our ancestors may be a little bit misleading to do that, because let's take, for instance, the masquerade. Masquerade is not necessarily linked to our Jewish and African heritage. It is a mixture of European and maybe some African masquerade concepts.
Yeah.
Because you have masquerades in Italy, in maybe the whole of Europe, and we just, for some reason, think it's something that we brought out from Africa, and it is not. It's entertainment. It's entertainment for the same colonial masters.
Most definitely.
And it seems that we like to entertain people, and sometimes we like to entertain ourselves too. We take great pride and pleasure into these things, and maybe we should just understand it a little better, so that when we're passing things to our children, we're not just passing it, half with a half understanding, but a better understanding of what it is exactly you're passing on to the children.
Yeah.
Having the children in band, gyrating and stuff like that. I really don't see how this is in any way a help to us in any way at all. But yet these are the things that we take pleasure in, and it's like I'm not angry at it in any way. I don't even think it's such a bad thing overall. It's just that I think we need to have a balance. If we're gonna subject the youths to these things, why we don't subject them also to the understanding of themselves?
I agree. I agree.
Because you want to have, it's like when they tell you have to eat a balanced diet in order to be healthy.
Yeah.
So I think we need to have a balance when it comes to training and teaching and demonstrating things to our youths. We need to have that balance.
Yeah.
But we don't really have a balance. We have a colonial mindset to everything that we approach.
Yeah.
Now, let's take for instance, I don't want to go into the carnival thing too much. I mean, I had times I used to be involved in that, and who involved in it, and
Well, before you go there,
Yeah.
I want to kind of deal with something that you said in terms of the young people gyrating and so forth, because I myself, to some extent, I say, because when we look at our African people, we see the hips movement and that kind of stuff. And I say, okay, so if you want to put the children in there and you want to let them sway their little hips and so forth, I don't have a problem with it. But what I have a problem with is when you let it go too much leaning towards the vulgar, one. Some of the songs that you might play, I notice they're trying to move away from that now. Some of the songs that used to be played are not fit for the children, in their parade. But here's where I want to agree with you. If it is that we're going to say, okay, we're going to give the children the freedom to go and sway their little hips and so forth, why is it that you are not balancing it and saying, okay, so you're going to go, for instance, me saying to my daughter, okay, I'm going to let you go into the carnival this year and you can join a troupe, but I'm going to looking forward to you to giving me good grades on your history, you know what I'm saying? If next year when you do your exams and your tests and so forth, you don't give me good grades, don't come to me to say you want to go. You understand what I'm saying?
Exactly.
That is what you're saying. Give it a balance, but we're not seeing a balance. So yeah, now you can go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, to add to what you mentioned, yeah, you find that I, I, I actually blame men for pretty much everything.
I agree.
I blame men for
I
everything.
agree.
I don't even blame the
100%.
women. Even if I see women behaving a certain way, I think it's a man fault somewhere along the line.
I agree.
Now, whoever want to call in and contest that, feel free. But yeah, I think that men, because we basically dropped the baton and not
Yes.
standing
Yeah.
up as fathers and
Yes.
the guides that we're supposed to be, and we could see that the whole colonial thing, when you go right back into the whole aspect of slavery, you could see that the idea to divide or to at least put into the minds of women that you don't have to depend on a man, and
Yeah.
then make it
Yeah.
sure that you make the man look weak, you kill him in front of, and this go way back.
Way back. Way back.
Basically make men look like they're not necessary, and then look at what we have in front of us today.
Yeah.
If you're going to, I think that I've not been into all the government departments, but all that I've been into is run predominantly by women,
Yeah.
and so which means you do not have a balance.
Yeah.
You do not have a balanced workforce into the government departments.
Yeah.
We have also, I mean, we probably, I think they're probably hiring some younger persons now, but we have a lot of perimenopausal women running the country in terms of the departments. And we know this is a situation where,
Well, when you say perimenopausal, I want you to, make sure that your people understand what you're saying.
well, we're dealing with women who going through stuff, approaching menopause, and therefore it could impact and impair the judgment with certain things, because it can create some mental issues. And I don't think we're even taking this serious. We just treat it like it's just nothing. And while it is normal, is a normal thing for women to go through, it is still a problem.
But there's where, because you and I aren't going to agree on everything, okay?
Right,
Let
and I
it,
love
let it
that.
be, let it be known there, and that's why we get along. We're friends.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily agree with this perimenopausal thing, unless you can enlighten me to the extent where you can convince me. Are you suggesting that women who reach that stage should not be a part of the system?
No, I'm not
Okay,
saying that at
I
all.
want you to be clear on that.
No, I'm saying that it is an issue that affects some women negatively.
Yes.
And because we have this off balance into the workforce, into the government departments, more than likely you're going to have a lot of situations where judgments are being made based on mood swings and mood changes and stuff like that. So I'm saying that it need a conversation at least.
Okay, I agree with you on that, because it affects that menopausal phase affects different women in different ways.
Right.
Okay, so some of them go through it and we don't see barely anything, but then there are others who it knocks them right out.
Yes.
Okay,
That's
okay, this is what you're saying.
Exactly.
And it knocks them out to a point where sometimes at certain ventures, at certain points where you might be dealing with something that is very, very important to the country, they might not be in that mindset, that mental state perhaps to deal with it.
Right.
But how do we find out that? That would mean that they would then have to be going through checks and so forth, that they know their physical and mental state.
Well, I'll tell you what, Q. What we will do is have some persons who probably know more than you and I
Yes.
in this area, and we're gonna have that discussion on one of these
Okay,
programs.
that's perfect, perfect.
I'm definitely no expert in the area.
Yes.
I'm just an observer,
Okay.
and notice that these are things that seem to be going like.
I never
Yeah.
thought of that. I never thought of it until I've never said that I knew everything, and you learn every day.
Yeah.
But I never thought of it that way. But that is why I asked you to give me some clarity, because when you explain it and you express it in a certain way, and I, knowing even in my limited capacity something about physics and biology and the body structure and so
Right.
forth, I have a basic idea of it. But like you said, there are others who are more well versed in this. But what it is saying then, and you will have to correct me if I'm wrong, what you are implying then is that in the government system, you have individuals like these who you say you were going to refer to as experts, who would be monitoring who these individuals go through for their monthly or their whenever checks, so
Right.
that we can know that they are in fit positions, mentally and
Oh,
otherwise,
right.
to. Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
Okay.
because these government departments basically is what run the country.
Yes. Yes.
So you want when decisions are made, they are made with, with you would call they're sober.
Yes. Yeah.
So and yeah, so like I said, going forward we would have that discussion, and we'll have those who know more than us to educate us and enlighten us.
Well, I must say that even in the beginning, if even this is your first day here and you have already come with something that I never thought of before. It makes me, now I'm going to have to think, contemplate that one. Because I've seen and we've seen a lot of women who are older women and they're working perfectly. But you're saying, and I agree with you, not all of them are like that. And sometimes when, for instance, you might see a woman and she's functioning good, but then at a certain point she have a mental breakdown, we might be questioning why.
Right.
But it might be because of, her body going through certain things, and she's still being put in a stressful position to make demanding, decisions and so forth, and that could affect her. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. And like I said, the stress of it is because we know that predominantly women are who basically power or control the government departments.
Yeah.
So I think that if that's the case, then we need to have those checks and balances, as sometimes they would say, and
Yeah.
make sure that we are in good hands.
Okay, so we're going to take a bit of a commercial break. It's 10:22, and when we come back, I'm going to go right back to you, let you continue in your vein. And you said about the second hour thereabout, we'll open the lines. Did you say about the second hour?
Yes,
so we'll
definitely.
open the lines. Okay, so let's take that break right about now.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
More than 42 million cars from 19 different car companies are being recalled for faulty airbag inflators. Repairs are fast, easy, and free. The problem isn't with the airbag, it's with the airbag inflator. Because the inflator can rupture, shooting shrapnel through the airbag, which can cause serious injury or even death. Don't risk it, fix it.
Please contact TDC Automotive Division to find out if your Toyota vehicle is affected by the Takata airbag recall. Visit or call us at 465-2511 in St. Kitts or 469-5430 in Nevis.
Rams the good food people always there to serve you. Rams the good food people, locations right near you. Rams the good food people, in-store specials for you. Rams the good food people. Rams. When you need better service, Rams is always here. Better value, better prices. Rams is always here. Rewarding your loyalty. Rams is always here. We are community. We are family. We are family. Rams for you and me. We are community. Rams for you and me.
It's the energy of we people, something pulsing inside. It beating every soul, a feeling we cannot It's always pushing us forward, the limit up in the sky. There's rhythm in how we flow, a rhythm that can't be denied. It's in the feeling in how we talk. It's in the meaning in our spot. It is the thing that sets us apart. Who we are, 'cause the rhythm of life keeps bumping. Together going strong, no matter what, we keep things flowing. The people we will go all in. Our hands up in the sky, celebrate and come and
Now when we out and we active, living we life. So when we drink, we drinking. Root boy. So when we drink, we drinking. Root boy. Oh, Miss Lady, anyway you see we are we building up our vibes. So when we drink, we drinking. Root boy. So when we drink, we drinking. Root boy. Why?
And the time is 10:26, and we take it right back to Mr. Agard. And it's up to you now to decide what vein, what
Well,
trajectory.
we're going right back. We're going right back. We just had a little drift there into the perimenopausal thing,
Yes,
and already I start getting some messages already. So, again, I'm no expert in the matter. I just
Yes.
think that we have that issue to deal with and
Yes.
share. Yeah, but we started by talking about the, maybe to dub it as the root,
Yeah.
part of the root cause of what we are looking at today in terms of our governing within the entire Caribbean region, actually. And we put it on the whole essence of colonialism.
Yes.
So it's about decolonizing basically everything.
Yeah, I agree.
And we must start with the school system, at least, because we know that the school system basically was given to us by churches. We inherited that from the church. The church gave us religion. We inherited that. I mean, remember, look at it. It's kind of funny because according to what I learned in the history books, is that we weren't allowed to be in those churches at one point. There are some situations where our ancestors had to be underground, probably hearing what's going on upstairs, and
Yeah.
then when this so-called freedom came, we were then allowed to sit in the back seats.
Yeah.
And then when they left, we run gone up to the pulpit and take control. You know, so we didn't take time to at least try to go back to some of our own stuff that we had coming over with. I mean, we speak language. I mean, we have no pride in speaking dialect. Do you find people who maybe went to school and they learned the English language and all the words, they could call all sorts of words and put letters together and what's not, look down upon you who probably speak a dialect.
Yeah.
But let me just let you know that dialect is not just you speaking a language that is bad or broken. Dialect is actually a part of our muscle memory system from
Yes,
our ancestors.
it is.
Where there are words that we use that are directly linked to our African and Jewish heritage. I keep putting in Jewish in there. We ain't get into that.
Yeah,
somewhere along the way.
I notice you keep doing that, you know, but knowing you, I let it go because I know you're going to get to it. again.
There's a reason for saying that.
Yes.
But a lot of these stuff are linked to that. And therefore, if we continue going down that road where we think there's a need to correct people because they speak dialect or patois, as some people call that, then this national identity would always be an issue because it is part of who we are.
Yes.
So, and I think that is one of the things that we need to get involved in, national identity. Because we need to know who we are. We need to set that tone as to who we are, where we're from, where we're heading,
But
and how we're going to do this.
how can we know that unless, as you suggested earlier, it begins in the schools?
Well, this is going to take a whole lot of effort because it needs leaders who are willing to, push that change,
Push
make it
that
happen.
Change in the curriculum?
In decolonizing the curriculum.
Yes.
Right? And we have not yet gotten to that point where we have elected anyone who seemed to be interested in that. I guess, being distracted by, and don't get me wrong, I'm not even blaming some of these government leaders as such, but I understand that being mentally conditioned to be a certain way, that it is difficult to juggle who you are with what you are inheriting in terms of the political, what you would call that, I don't want to say, well, you inherit leadership, or you rule in some, and you basically taking up from where somebody left off.
Yeah.
So you find that you could get distracted now with the power. You also might develop greed and so on. And how this is easy is because when you have people cheering you on, even when you do something wrong, you start to feel like even your wrong is not right. And
Well,
we've seen that. We definitely have seen that.
Recently, I'm going to have to look for it. I have a bit of a statement where an individual is saying that in this present world that we live in, stupidity and ignorance is promoted and rational individual thinking and perception is discouraged. What do you say to that?
Well, I say that if we decolonize our education system and foster critical thinking, then that statement can be overturned.
Yes.
But presently, that statement is 100% accurate.
It is accurate.
You know?
It is accurate.
Because we do not foster critical thinking. We're not producing critical thinkers. We're still using an old, ancient education system that was designed for people to be loyal and obedient to their slave masters. And we have now realized that the whole idea of the Westminster system of governing that we seem to have adopted basically turn our leaders into the new slave masters.
Yeah.
And in doing that, you find there's not, even though we throw around the word democracy only exists during campaigning and voting times.
Yeah.
But when that is over, the dictatorship step in.
Well, look, I'm going to tell you this. I can see we're going to have some very interesting conversations because these are not your everyday conversations, okay? And this is what we want. We don't want this everyday same old,
Right.
because it's not getting us anywhere.
Right.
We need the kind of conversation that is going to make individuals stop and say, what? What did he just say? Did he just say that?
Yes, I said it and I'll say it again, and let's have the conversation.
Yes.
You know?
So I concur 100%. I'm going to show you this where you're so right. We've reached the point where we have created demigods now, right?
Yes.
And those demigods, all they need is for you to say, after the election, you say, this is the president. And that name, that title, president, means they can run shot, they can do all kind of nonsense, and you must respect the president. Even though when you look at the president, you see all kind of crazy things happening. You hear crazy statements. The other day I was looking at the President of the United States in a conference with some people to do with oil and so forth. And the man he's speaking all kind of things that is like he's on a different planet. And next thing he gets up and he walks up. He's supposed to be having a good discussion there about how the world is going to go. And he gets up and he says, I'm going to go out, look out the window there. And he goes up. And you could see everybody there feeling uncomfortable, but nobody dares say anything to him because he is the president. And the president is a demigod. You understand?
Right.
Look at Congress and all of them. Oh, we're going to veto, we're going to this. And the man still does what he wants. And the legal system backs him up. So you're right. Where is this freedom when you're dictating everything?
Yeah, well, we're probably going to get to speaking some things about the American politics and so on, but for now we have to clean house.
Yes, I agree.
We have to clean our house first, and then we could talk
Well,
about
I use that as an example to
Yeah.
show that we tend to create gods.
Yeah.
And we're doing it. I use him as an example, but
Yeah.
we're doing it here because,
Yeah.
for instance, you say something about our present leader, and people will quickly say, "But you got to respect the prime minister." No, we don't disrespect him, but that doesn't mean that we can't say he did something right or we don't agree with what he did. But it's
Yeah.
like we can't do that.
Well, you see, our present leader, our past leader, and our leader from way back, they are all basically the same because they are coming from the same school of thought.
Yes.
They all have been conditioned to be a certain way. And that same education system that produced them have them in that mindset that we are to divide people in order to control and manage them. So you find again the concept of democracy is just a psychological conversation in a way to make it sound like you actually care about people and you're saying something that sounds right. But again, and I repeat that democracy only exists during campaigning and voting season.
Yes.
As soon as that is finished, there's no display or demonstrating of democracy. You're seeing far more of a dictatorship leadership style than a democratic leadership style. And I would love to see the day that change, but I think that this start with decolonizing our school system, our school curriculum, in order to create and produce critical thinkers. So that way we don't have to be going down that road of being conditioned under that colonialism mindset that keep us wanting to divide each other. I mean, even when you look at the whole church situation, even that have divided us even maybe more than the politics.
I agree.
Because this church don't want to go to that church, this church have the truth, these over here have the truth, we ain't so sure about these over here, and you see all of them have their different banners up to show you how divided they are.
Yeah.
And who did we get that from? Did that come from our ancestors? Absolutely not.
No.
That come from the same school of thought of the mental conditioning of the colonial masters. Now, how willing are we to step away from such things?
Now that is the big question. that is the big question. How I would say honestly, I don't think we are willing. Not when I say we, I don't include us, but yet still I include us. You understand what I'm saying?
Right, because we're here.
Yeah.
We're here in the country, so you have to say us. I mean, when the rain fall, it's all us getting wet, isn't it?
Yeah. But we're not ready to move there. Look, when I'm trying to analyze what you're saying at the same time while I'm trying to form thought. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
Because I'm not accustomed to having this kind of conversation. This is not the kind of conversation we have every day. And this is again why as you know, I am a loner. You know, you see me. Because it's not much you can find people who you can sit down with and you can mesh on a mental level. You understand? Because usually when you speak, people don't seem to comprehend what you're saying. When you speak, I comprehend what you're saying, but it's deep. So I even while I hear it, I have to take some time to analyze it so that I can really see if I can come to a mindset, a mind state that you are in when you make the statement. And this is again, this brings up another point. This is why more men need to sit down and have conversations.
And that's why we're here.
Yeah. This is why men need to sit down and have conversations.
And you know what? And you said it earlier. It's not about agreeing with what I'm saying.
Yes.
It's about let's have the conversation.
That's it.
Because even if you have the mindset to disagree, at least we have that conversation.
Yes.
Because it has entered your mind, you know. But to not have the conversation and just continue, you know, in that way, you know, that has been affecting us for quite some time. You know, we just go deeper and deeper in the rabbit hole of being colonized.
Yeah, and the fact that you and I, we know each other from way back. People wouldn't even know how much years since we knew each other, but that was way back in the days before Masood became Masood. You remember that?
Of course, I wrote a song. I wrote one of the songs on the first album.
That's how we got to know each other. So that tells you how far back we've come from. And we've had disagreements over time, but yet still we are good friends.
Yeah.
And this again shows, this is why the young men need to see older men also. Because then when you look at older men, you see that we can disagree heatedly, you know.
Yes.
We can disagree heatedly, but when the conversation is done, we're still friends.
Exactly.
We are not enemies. That was just a conversation. That was just something where our minds clash and we didn't agree on that.
Yes.
But when that is done, we're mature men, we move on.
But you know, in that vein, I sometimes wonder about some men who just disagree because they can.
Yes, that's
You
true.
know, there's nothing to add, there's nothing to present. You just disagree because you can.
But you know why that is? Again, you said it when you
Yeah,
started.
you go right
Men
ahead.
are to blame,
Yes.
right? Men are to blame. A lot of these guys. I was watching a documentary one time, and the person showed us a young guy, and there was a number of young men, and the police. This is in Jamaica, okay? And someone said, the police come in. Now you know the police in Jamaica, they don't make joke. When they're
Right.
coming, you got to be. And most of the men scattered, and you could see them on the different sides of the, the houses and that kind of stuff. But this one particular one, he sees the soldiers coming down, and he start, this, that, and clot, and blah, 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 and blah, blah. Next thing you know, he's on the ground, face down in the mud, and the narrator says, you see, he was raised by a woman. And because he was raised by a woman, now women, you can take this way or that, but these are facts we're going to hit you with. Because he was raised by a woman and women, and he saw how women tend to argue and argue and argue, this is what he brings when he's around. He's supposed to know better than that.
I got you.
You understand? You see
Yeah.
soldiers coming,
Yes.
take it easy, not that you're afraid of them, but don't just go and, if you heard the things the man was saying, right? This man was saying and so forth, the things he was saying would rile up any individual. And so he found himself in this compromising position. And I say that to say this. The men who tend to argue just because they can argue is because a majority of them were raised by women.
Yes.
We have been with women. Women, we are not knocking you. We love you. But we have been with women. And you would say something to a woman, not all of them, mind you, but a lot of them. And she knows what you're saying is rational. She knows what you're saying makes sense, but she's still going to argue about it. You understand? And she's going to, and you say, but so-and-so. And you can see the smile on the side of her face because she just loves to get you heated. You understand? But she knows in the end, and she might come and say, babes, I know you was right, but, and in your mind you're thinking, so I was right, why all you understand?
Yeah.
But I guess it's in their DNA. But we're seeing
Yeah.
men now who are doing that.
I mean, when you look at the structure of society, where you have male and female, there's a lot of contention at times, but when you look into the animal kingdom, so to speak, there's no contention regarding,
Male and
and
female.
female.
It's true.
Male are not trying to be female and female are not trying to be male, and
Yeah.
it goes according to where it's supposed to be. So we're supposed to be higher than there because animals come with full knowledge, full instinct, everything. They're not learning how to do anything. They came with it, they're born with it.
Yeah.
We now evolve through knowledge,
Yes.
and so we have that ability to develop intelligence and so on. And back to what we were discussing earlier about the colonialism, is that we somehow equate Britishness with intelligence.
Yeah. That's true.
So the more you could speak the British language, the English, you could use your words and so on, you sound more intelligent, so you're more intelligent.
Yeah.
We also see clearly that the way we dress, in order for you to be considered that you dress in a formal way and so on, you have to have on your jacket and your tie in order to be considered dress. So almost every aspect of our existence here in the Caribbean is based on colonialism.
Let me go back to the example you used about the animal kingdom. In the animal kingdom, you have all these animals that we say are wild and primitive, and yet still you don't see the male in whatever species trying to rape the female in that species. You don't see that because they have their cycles, you understand? And the male, he might go to a female, but he realizes she snubs him and he knows she's not in that cycle. So he moves on, you understand? But when the cycle comes around, then they mate. We know who have rational thinking
And intelligence.
when we see a female, and we make a move on her, and she shows that she's not inclined, we want to force ourselves on her, we want to beat her up, we want to do all kind of things. Why is that when we are supposed to be so intelligent and so?
Well, I would just want to make one little correction. I wouldn't use it on we.
Well, you know what I say when I like I
I know
said
what you mean,
before.
but in this
Yeah.
case,
Yes.
I would want to separate myself from that.
I too, but hey,
No, but yes, that's it. We've learned that we're supposed to be on the top of the chart,
yes.
and yet we sometimes behave like we are not. And to see the animals have it down pat because they're fully aware of how they exist, instinctively, and then we struggle with that. I mean, when you look at it, because we only have been taught and somehow continue in that vein about 5 physical senses,
Yes.
we don't think about the other senses that are not physical.
Yeah.
Therefore, there's no desire to develop those senses, even though we use those senses every single day.
I'm glad you said that because we had a caller this morning who said she was dealing with something with a money order, and she said something that kind of I wanted to interact with her, but I left it there. She said, I like to do things from the comfort of my bed, which is a good thing. But it's things like those that are affecting us today because they're making it so comfortable. They're making us so comfortable that you don't want to get up to go and do things. You want to sit down and have a remote and punch everything, and you have some snacks there, and you eat, and and everything is supposed to be at your fingertips. And then you wonder, why is it you're always at the doctor? You're always having some, we don't understand. The body was made to have a certain level of comfort, but the body was also made to exercise and to move and do things.
Well, again, it kind of go back to the school of thought because when I was a teenager, I engaged in yoga exercises, also engaged in meditations and different things and so on. So you kind of always had something to do, even though we didn't have internet and cable TV.
Yes.
The comforts can be distracting, but sometimes also necessary.
Yes.
But as beings, we are able to balance these things. We have to know when it's time to get up and when it's time to sit down, when it's time to lay down, when it's time to meditate. As a matter of fact, in the Bible verses, there's one verse that says, meditate on the law of the Most High day and night.
Yes.
Day and night. We have not, I don't think this is something that the church goers practice.
Because they're not taught it.
But it's right there.
Yeah. I learned that when I was growing up in the church, that this is why I had to move away from the church. I just had to. Because the church I found at some point was stifling me, stifling my growth. The church just wanted to come, and the preachers, you go to 50 churches, and it is likely you're going to hear all them saying the same thing, quoting the same scriptures, and not linking it to life and everyday living.
Same colonial mindset.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, if okay, let's say we start the process of decolonizing our school curriculum. Church, this is one of the things we have to talk about. We have to talk about the church. We have to talk about, like, for instance, what is the function of the church? What is the reason? What is the purpose? Why do we even have church?
Yeah.
And these are questions that we need answers to. I mean, maybe one day we could get the Christian Council here and the Evangelical Association to kind of answer those questions for us.
Yeah.
Because if, and I'm just going out on a limb here saying this, if the church is to serve our spiritual growth, if that's supposed to facilitate or in any way help us to grow spiritually, and we're not seeing that growth in our communities, our society at large, we are seeing more vile, more
degradation,
immoral, in our society. At the same time, we are seeing more churches being built and so on, to the point where the same population now have to go to all these churches. So it would appear to some people that a lot of people don't go to church, but they do go. It's just that you have more churches to fill.
Yeah.
Now, so if you're seeing that we have more churches being built, you're seeing less spirituality in terms of how people deal with each other. We are seeing more criminals, not even just violent, but in other ways and so on. Then we need to have some answers. We need to understand what is the real
I
function
agree.
of these entities.
agree.
And I know definitely it's still all because of what we started with, and that is the colonial mindset.
Yes.
Because in every aspect, we are under that hand pressing us down.
Yes.
Because as you say, you were feeling stifled. You're like, your growth, it just wasn't happening.
Yeah.
And that's because it is not fostering that.
That's
it's not
it.
teaching that.
I like that word, fostering. It's
Right,
not
so-
fostering that. It's not making a playground for you to go out there and
Definitely.
expand. Okay?
Definitely.
Yeah, we're going to take a bit of a commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to open the lines, and we're going to still have the conversation, but then you can call in and say what you wish.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Rams the good food people always there to serve you. Rams the good food people locations right near you. Rams the good food people in store specials for you. Rams the good food people. Rams. When you need better service, Rams is always here. Better value, better prices. Rams is always here. Rewarding your loyalty. Rams is always here. We are community. We are family. We are family. Rams for you and me. We are community. Rams for you and me.
What are you doing? She said, drink a root boy, I will do the work. You don't have to wind up yourself. You don't have to wind up yourself. Oh, she said, drink a root boy, I will do the work. You don't have to wind up yourself. You don't have to wind up yourself. Oh, cause when we out and we active living we life. So when we drinking. Root boy. So when we drinking. Root boy. Oh, Miss Lady, anyway you see we are we building up our vibes. So when we drinking. Root boy. So when we drinking. Root boy. Why?
It's the energy of we people, something pulsing inside. It beating every soul, a feeling we cannot It's always pushing us forward, the limit up in the sky. There's rhythm in how we flow, a rhythm that can't be denied. It's in the feeling in how we talk. It's in the meaning in our spot. It is the thing that sets us apart. Who we are. 'Cause the rhythm of life keeps bumping. Together going strong. No matter what, we keep things flowing. The people we will go all in. Our hands up in the sky. Celebrate and come let your rhythm flow. Flow, 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 flow. Come let your rhythm come let your rhythm flow.
More than 42 million cars from 19 different car companies are being recalled for faulty airbag inflators. Repairs are fast, easy, and free. The problem isn't with the airbag, it's with the airbag inflator. Because the inflator can rupture, shooting shrapnel through the airbag, which can cause serious injury or even death. Don't risk it, fix it.
Please contact TDC Automotive Division to find out if your Toyota vehicle is affected by the Takata airbag recall. Visit or call us at 465-2511 in St. Kitts or at 469-5430 in Nevis.
And we're back today on Voices with my good friend, Mr. Agard. And look, this is an unorthodox conversation.
Yeah.
And we need unorthodox conversation. We need to start thinking and speaking outside the box. We do have a caller. Hello, caller. Hello? Hello?
Yeah, I tried.
You're breaking up.
Clip.
You're breaking
Are you
up.
hearing me, Quint?
I'm hearing you clear now. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I tried to get in this morning after you played the clip with Ursula von der Leyen, and just let me quickly say, I agree with all that you said, and that's the point I was trying to make. I mean, maybe you might have articulated so much smoother,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
we're on the same page. Now, to us, a guy, I've been listening, and let me say this. You know, language is our linguistic of communication. When you have to examine if we're going to go back to when we became flesh, because we are spiritual beings that we descend from the universe, from the source. We descend as spirit, energy, consciousness, whatever we choose to call it. Now, when we became flesh, we had to communicate. We were telepathic. Our ancestors had the ability to communicate through telepathy. Now, we were interrupted. And this interruption is not just physical. If you have to take the word that we gravitate to, where did the war broke out? The war, according to the literature, war broke out in heaven between divinity. And a third of those who were in opposition were cast out. So, if we're looking at when we were vibrating through sound, frequency, and the other word is escaping me. But when we became flesh, we had to communicate. And for those that were cast out, I mean, the book says here and there. In the early part, it tells us how everything was created. Later down in the end of the book, you go to Revelation, he said, woe be unto the inhabitants of the earth, because those that were cast out. We were interrupted, because everything that came out from that source came out in perfection. Life. We are on a living planet where life is everlasting, life is eternal. The flesh died, the spirit goes back to the spiritual realm. The rest, they saying, when we examine, guys, and follow me here with this, when we examine the footprint of those who have violated the earth and the inhabitants of the earth, when we examine that, guys, we were interrupted. Just imagine we have all that we have within the continent of Africa. And the question was, did God give us all that we have for us to be at the bottom of the ladder? But to go further, while we were in our spaces, we never see the resources as collateral, as economics. Because we understood that the resources of the earth is there for a purpose. The resources, the minerals that is in the earth, they're there for a purpose. But a set of people, through greed, they exploited and they have violated the laws of nature. And here we are today, because they have given us, they came across sacred knowledge and they have polluted it and gave us a literature in a book. Guys, we are not the violators. We were violated.
Journey.
Yeah.
This is a different program with Agard, and he's the one who really controls it, and I tend to follow follow his lead. And what he's trying to do in his presentation is to link whatever he discussed with whom, with us, with how we as a people as a Kittitian Nevision and extension Caribbean, but mainly Kittitian Nevision, how do we get ourselves out of a present day mindset and move forward? So what I want you to do whenever he is on, just as when Africa is on, I follow Africa's lead. When he is on, follow whatever the trend that he is and link it to how do we bring that home and move forward.
Well, yes, Quint, I'll follow your lead and Agai. But let me say this quickly. We were divided, we were colonized, and we were enslaved. We were prohibited to do a lot of things like reading. It's not that we were uneducated. We had our linguistics, we had everything in our space. And the trauma of colonization and enslavement, it is deep. It was brutal. And that trauma is still in most of us DNA because it lingers. Now, one of the ways that we can bring an end to all of this, guys, is to become knowledgeable of who we were. Knowledgeable and to unite. These two have to go together. I'm just hoping that Agai would agree that our unity will cripple the misery. We have to unite, and we have to also become knowledgeable of who we were, because the wisdom of our ancestors is in our DNA. We were cut off from our ancestors. All right, guys, thanks for hearing me.
Okay, so I'm going to go right back to you, Mr. Agard, and you can.
Yes, I heard the brethren and I understand everything that he's saying, but the direction is not so much about repeating over and over again for years about who we were and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We are who we are now, and we realize that it is not serving us well, so we want to make some changes.
That's it.
How do we make these changes? We start where everything starts, in school.
Yes.
In terms of the learning.
Well, I kind of agree with you, and I think we start in the home,
No, well, we get to the home thing, because the home it's kind of warped up in a way, because the school children become parents.
Yes, yeah.
Right? And therefore, what they get from the school is what they're going to demonstrate as parents.
I hear you. So what you're saying is we turned it around. Rather than the learning beginning in the home, it has been beginning in the schools.
Right, because home had to learn.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I agree with you on that.
Home had to learn, and home is learning two ways. One, the school and the church.
Yeah.
Because a lot of parents, they go to church, they baptize their children, and so on, and then the school system takes them there. So the school and the church is what prepare the parents and what's not done the home.
Yeah. I like the way you speak, because when you speak, just now I was a bit kind of ready to disagree with you, but then I have to fall back in line and agree with you. You're right there. You understand?
And like I said, disagreement is all right, because you see the disagreement also could help sharpen the conversation. Because, just as sometimes you find somebody might disagree because they didn't understand the communication.
Yeah. I didn't understand first, and then when you made your latter statement, then it cemented it for me.
Right.
I then understood. Hello, caller.
Yes, good day to everybody.
Yeah, blessed greetings, Greg.
Yes.
I was hoping to hear you, man.
Hey, God, greetings to you.
Yeah.
Yes, all the best to you, hey, God.
Yeah, man, blessed love.
And all the best to all the listeners. Greeting to all the listeners in Jesus Christ's name. Now, let me say this. Mention was made about in the division in the churches.
Mm-hmm.
Now, while, yes, it is sad and that sort of stuff, even Paul told you, for example, in 1 Corinthians chapter 11, even verses 18 and 19, Paul told you, even in the churches, while division is a sad thing, yet division must be and have to be, even in the churches, to show who is genuinely of God and who is not of God. And also, divisions are also have to be necessary, as 2 Corinthians chapter 6 shows you that we ought not to be unequally yoked with unbelievers. Light doesn't have any fellowship with darkness, and that we are to come out among them and touch not the unclean thing and that sort of stuff.
But Greg, though I hear you, we're not speaking about what you're speaking about, because we're speaking about where the division is in the church itself. The church is dividing. And where I might agree with you to some extent that, yes, division is necessary so you can weed out the weed from the thorns. I can understand that. But how much do you divide? Let me, for instance, use this as an example. I want to make a dumpling, right? So I take the flour and I knead it, and I have a roll of flour in my hand, right? Now, I go to the main body of the flour and I take off another piece and I roll that because I know the size of the dumpling that I want, okay? So let's say the amount of flour that I kneaded together can give me 10 dumplings, right? But I look at the 10 dumplings that are already made and I say, no, I want more dumplings. So I start to divide, right? And then I end up with 20 dumplings now. Mine, each dumpling is smaller, okay? But I look at the 20 dumpling and I say, you know what? I want some more. And how much do I divide? How necessary is that division? Because it comes a point when the division becomes stupidity. You understand? So you understand what I'm saying?
Well, as much division is needed to separate from those who are not genuinely of God. And if that means a trillion divisions, then it have to be a trillion divisions.
You see?
And yes, it might dwindle and dwindle, but it still have to be.
But you see, Agar, this is why we can't, even when I'm trying to work with him.
I'll let Greg wrap up his thoughts. I don't know if he's commenting, disagreeing, agreeing. So let him just wrap up his thought.
Okay, Greg, wrap up your thought.
Yes. Yes. And not only that, but there's another purpose for division as well, as we see in Acts. When Paul and his traveling partner, I don't remember if it were Barnabas or Silas, when the Holy Spirit said, I have to divide them. And the Holy Spirit caused an argument among them over John Mark, and there was a division between Paul and his traveling partner. You see, because the reason for that is this.
You don't have to say the reason for it, Greg. We understand. Just wrap up the thought.
Yeah, but I mean the listening audience as well.
Yeah, but you're not really on the panel, you're just calling in.
Yeah. But it was for the gospel to spread a lot quicker. Paul went his way spreading the gospel, the other partner went his way spreading the gospel, rather than everybody bulge up together, which doesn't spread the gospel as quicker. And that is why I don't think mega churches are not in accordance with the Bible. It's for have separate churches so we could spread out more and spread the gospel even faster. That's another reason for divisions as well.
Okay.
So divisions do have that thing. But and another quick issue though. You remember this morning, Quint?
No, don't bring in this morning. Let's leave that for another when we have the morning session.
Yes, it ties into what you're discussing now with the dictatorship, and so it ties in very much.
Okay then, go ahead.
It makes the point. You remember this morning, Quint, when I told you, and I said I can't speak for the NRP, the National Nevis Reformation Party. I couldn't speak to them, but to the other political parties, I said that they are cults. And because they like I said, they do something for you and you ain't vote for them, they cuss you out, and also made mention that that team unity that was made up of PAM, PLP, and CCM, they tell you during the COVID, don't do your research. Just listen to us. Listen to us. Obey us. Don't do your research. Which in the Bible says, test all things and hold fast to that which is good. The Bible tells you the opposite. Prove all things and hold steadfast that which is good. Steadfast which is good. But cultism, same thing as dictatorship. Same thing as dictatorship and tyranny tells you. Don't listen to nobody else. Just listen to us and do what we tell you. Don't do your own research. And that is why I say these political parties have shown themselves to be called, and I can't speak specifically to NRP because I don't know much about them. I don't know much about them. And when Agard mentioned again, this, you see, with the same topic, that they only speak democracy during election time, but other than that, you get dictatorship. It goes back, it's the same cultic thing. Do as I say. I am your ruler. Don't question me. You turn over your brain to me. Let me think for you and do what I tell you. And that was most explicit during COVID time under Team Unity.
Yeah, but
yes, come back to that same thing.
But this morning I asked you the question, isn't it the same thing that the church does? The church does the same thing.
A ton load of them, but not all of them, because those few biblical ones tell you, listen to different pastors, listen to different people, and pick what is biblical from what isn't biblical out of what they're saying. Do your research. Those few biblical churches do encourage that. Listen to a wide set of people, not just one set of people. Do your own research and that's after. But you do have a point. A ton load of them, yes, do act in that cultic way, in trying to control the members from doing their own research, from listening to others, and that sort of stuff. But it is not 100%, but I believe it is the vast majority.
Okay.
Yes, thank you all.
Yeah, Gregory, thanks for your call. And one of these days, definitely, you and I might just have a sit down here discussing some of these things.
Yeah. So go ahead. Back to you.
Right. Now, you see, the thing is, it's good that Greg called in to demonstrate some of the things that we're talking about.
Yes.
In the sense that the mindset of colonialism sometimes don't give you that critical thinking as such.
Yes.
You're basically thinking what you were taught.
Yes.
And in that school of thought, that box, sometimes you can't even step out of it. You're scared to step out.
Yeah.
And what's not.
Yeah.
So that was a good demonstration right there that these are some of the things that we are dealing with.
Yes.
And while we might not be able to fix that, I think we can start fixing our curriculum, our school system, and then these religious things that we have also plaguing us.
Yes.
Yeah, we could take that a little slower and see what happens.
Okay, we have another caller. Hello, caller.
Good morning.
Good day.
Morning, greetings.
Good morning to my good comrade. Hey, God, how are you?
Long time no see. I actually have to come look for you one these days.
Heard that before.
Yeah.
You hear what she say?
And you're right. You're right.
Where saw you there too?
No, it's just a God alone.
All right, hey, God. Now, this morning you made some interesting comments about men being raised by the mother.
Yes.
It's not so obvious, you know. Well, I taught first year economics. I taught economics first year university. I taught the professional secretaries too. And the A level. The classes were sometimes almost all female. The same male them who you say raised by the mother. Outside at the university center waiting for the class to finish to walk the girlfriend. You aware of that, right?
Yes, but who's to blame?
That is kind of the
point,
Sylvia.
That's what we are saying.
I am agreeing that the men are to blame.
Yeah, yeah.
But then we turn around and say, oh, you know, the woman, raised by the mother.
No, we're not. We did not say that to blame the mother. We were just stating a fact.
Your facts, right? But the statistics don't bear it out. Now, at the university...
Don't bear out what? Statistics don't bear out what?
Sylvia, I think maybe you didn't get the point.
55% of the students there are female. And the thing about the females holding them position, I mean, I did labor economics, and I can tell you. It's not.
I don't think Sylvian
wait,
understood.
give me a chance, man. Give me a chance. Give me a chance.
Sylvian, I don't think you understood what I was saying.
No, I may not understand you, so let me continue.
But if you
Hope
don't
you
understand,
understand
well, you
as
can
I-
continue.
hope you understand
That's
as I
it,
go
you
along.
know. If you
A
don't,
lot of the
if
look,
you
see,
don't
the-
understand, how can you continue?
When I'm speaking, I hope you understand what I'm saying.
But Sylvain, you just
Well,
claimed
let me
that you just said
continue,
that
let me
you're an
continue.
educator. If you
Talking
call in
about
to say
these
something that you
positions,
don't
give me a chance,
understand.
man.
Sylvian,
Yeah, but you're not listening.
You're trying to dominate me.
No, you're not. No, is that you have something you can
No,
listen.
listen to me. Let me
No,
continue.
why would we listen to you when you just make it clear you don't understand?
Let me continue.
But if you so why continue if you don't understand?
Let me continue.
This is quite interesting.
it
in the
is
civil
interesting
service.
because it's proving our point. You see, it's
You want to
proving our
continue on
point.
something that you don't understand.
You ain't got no point to prove. So here
It's
we
not
go.
even a point to prove.
A lot of the permanent secretaries and high positions are held by women. Not because that they're better suited, you know. There was a movement in the labor market. Government salaries are low. And so the majority of the males who were in those kind of positions, they move to the private sector.
We know that.
And so they had to promote women into those positions. Some of us don't understand that.
But we know that. That is why we say
But
that
you
is
know, you know,
that is a
understand
part.
that
Let's
the
Sylvain
comment-
wrap
you-
up so that we
the
could
comment was
continue.
made about women them in the high position. They were put there because the men have gone to look higher wages. As simple as that. If the men
Sylvain,
had remained, and again, a lot of the men now, they're looking the easy way out. So they expect the women to support them and their children. I agree when you say it is the fault is the men. You think about, and you could tell they're raised by the mother. It's not a matter of raised by the mother. A lot of, even some of the rasters are responsible. We are not pushing our male to succeed. They could sell some ganja, sell some cocaine. They admire the American men. They're not pushing themselves before time. When you went to grammar school and you came out, you were expected to hold down a position. You were trained to do so. Now, they're not striving enough. Look at the colleges. We are the men. Small number. So it's time enough that men stand up and show up and stop. They could tell them they're raised by the mother. Those in the prison raised by the mother.
yes, majority of them.
It's other misguided males who are leading our males in the wrong direction. A lot of us do it. I mean, Agard and you and Nevis and Nevis and Nevis. You may be an exception and Agard may be an exception. A lot of them could do better. I taught them in high school. And you see them wasting life actually depending on a woman to support them. So, to me, the majority of the blame is on the males. And women got menopause. They must work well about menopause because
see,
the men
Sylvian,
are
listen to-
leaving the civil service.
Sylvian is
in
of a
jobs.
mindset that she doesn't hear. She's of the mindset that they hear what they want to hear and they just run with it. They
Yeah,
don't
but
listen to who
you're
is
making some
story.
statement that you cannot prove.
What statement did I make that I cannot prove?
The one about, sometimes women acting up. Men go through menopause, do you know?
I was not the one who made the statement. It was Agard, but
Agard.
wait, Miss Sylvia,
Agard,
and
do
when
you
he
agree with
made
that?
and
Sylvain,
when
I would prefer if you wrap up and we continue the
Agard.
program.
The thing about women are the only filling spots. Look and see, sometimes as soon as they get a man from university and he can't get no work in the private sector, they push him up in a high position. Women there with years of degrees, and they can't move. So please, transfer the majority of the blame to the males.
Yeah.
Not all. But tell them, I say, if they
Cyril,
want, they must equip themselves.
Cyril, you
Tell
could
them, I
just
say,
wrap it up
equip
so we could go
themselves,
on.
exert. They must exert more leadership. All right then.
Yes.
okay.
Okay. Well,
Before you
Go ahead.
go, I tell you, I'm amazed because I respect Sylvine, but she's a perfect example.
Yeah, me too.
Everything she keeps saying, men are to blame, but that's what we said. That's what you said from the moment you
That was the
came in
statement.
here.
That was the statement.
So how she didn't hear that?
Maybe she did, but obviously, there's a lot on her mind to express.
Yeah.
And that's why I tell you, let her finish, wrap it up, and then we move on.
So you go on now.
Yeah. Now, definitely, and those callers who called in so far, I appreciate you calling because it is also helping me to understand even more what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
And because you don't just represent you alone, more than likely the other persons who are probably thinking the same way as you're calling. So we do appreciate your call. However, just try to keep the calls kind of short so we could continue the program. And remember, it's going to be open for some time. So if y'all want to come to discuss anything specific with me, just let me know, contact me. I'll contact the queues. And
I prefer if they contact you.
okay. And we could just organize something.
Yeah.
But it's best that the program go on in the sense because it would have mean then that we might not have gotten to make the point that why we're here actually having this discussion.
Yeah.
And we started by talking about the colonial mindset, and we have seen how even the very Westminster system of government that we adopted, how it is not really a push toward liberating the mind. For instance, we say we are independent federation, but at the same time, the independent mind or the independence of the mind still need to be worked on. Because what are we independent from? What is that about?
Yeah.
Because we're still basically doing the same things. And that just keep going on and on and on. So we need to stick a point somewhere.
Let me use Sylvine as a perfect example. Almost everything that Sylvine outlined just now, we agree with. We don't disagree with the fact that men are to blame for this or women are filling up the college but that is what we're saying. We are saying the system was created by a colonialist regime that is using everybody, even women today. Women are now finding out that they were used also, because when they were putting those women against men and making them feel they didn't need a man, they worked with it. But they didn't understand that they were just using them, as Sylvine stated, because they wanted to lower the salary standard and all those kind of stuff. They put them in jobs, they're using them, they've been complaining for years that they want better wages and that kind of stuff, but the system has been using them.
And not only that is, remember we spoke about balance. We know when there is hormone imbalance in people, how it makes them sick and so on. So if that imbalance could cause us to behave in a way, look at society also, where the employment is off balance.
Yeah.
So the same thing with education and so on, as Sylvine would have mentioned something about the boys would have been outside waiting for the girls to walk them home and what's not. Yeah. So,
but who did that? Who did that? Again, the colonialist system.
Right,
a system that made you criminalize your boys, smoke a little weed, you put them in prison. I mean, look at the United States and the established world system. The prisons are filled with black people for misdemeanor crimes and all that kind of stuff.
Well, before you go to that prison, our prison here is the men outnumber the women. Not to say that anybody at all need to look at it to say we need more women in prison or anything like that. Yeah. But we have a whole lot of men in prison. And some of the reasons why they're there may not really justify for them to be in prison.
I agree.
So we have that. But one of the things, to go right back to Greg, who called in and mentioned and obviously wanted to quote scriptures. When you're in a disaster and you need help, or you're helping someone, you're not quoting scriptures. You're helping.
Yes.
Or you're being helped. As a matter of fact, the very same scriptures where the Messiah himself talk about neighborly love and how was that expressed? He talk about a man who was on the ground basically in a situation, and three men three men, passed by and is the last one
That helped the Good
that helped
Samaritan
him,
story. The Good
right?
Samaritan.
That had nothing to do with quoting scriptures. That
That's
had
it.
nothing to do with what Paul said. That had nothing to do with what Moses said. That had nothing to do with nothing like that.
And
That
I'm
just-
glad you made that point, because that is what I keep telling him all the time. Stop telling, link it to life and how people are
And
going
this
to
is what we're here
survive.
discussing. We're talking about the situation we're in. We're
Yes.
talking about why we have little children gyrating in bands. We're talking about why are we claiming cultures and not truly defining them. We're talking about being more British than intelligent. These are the things that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Can we fix them just by quoting Paul
No.
and quoting the book?
But hear this again. Let me ask you this, because I know you're deep into the Bible.
I am.
I stepped away from the Bible years ago when I was younger, and often what I speak about is what I learned from then, because I have a good memory, okay? But I don't go delving into the Bible, but I know you are deep in the Bible. So what do you say when I ask you, how is it that Paul, John, Simon, all those, how is it that those aren't African names?
Well, they do have their names. You're talking about a translation, and that is the thing. Sometimes when people speak about the book, they're speaking about the translation of the book and not really what the book is teaching. So, for instance, John is Yakonan,
Okay.
and Paul is actually Shaul. The name Paul was just to appease the Romans, so they use the word Paul, but his name is Shaul.
Okay.
John is Yakonan. So they have their names. And you remember I kept saying Jewish earlier?
Yes.
Because one of these Nevision historian would have to come and give me some clarity on this.
Mm-hmm.
But it is said that Nevis have a lot of information about Jewish heritage
Yeah.
in Nevis.
Yeah, the Jews were there
Right.
before. In the
Jamaica have some too, but
yeah.
apparently Nevis have some deep-rooted Jewish cultures.
Yeah.
And one day we're going to talk about even go back to the Patois.
But
and
I
how it's
still
connected.
question what kind of Jewish culture, because the Jews that, to me, someone would have to correct me, that were in Nevis were not. There were these converted Jews, as far as I'm knowledgeable.
Oh, like the Ashkenazi and these?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. That's why I say I know. What I do know is that there are some Jewish influence into what we now dub as cultures.
Yeah.
Right? So we have European, we have African, and we have Jewish.
Yeah.
Right? And when people speak a lot about Africa, I think, research is free. And we can research. There are some animals, for instance, that are not indigenous to Africa. There are some minerals that are not indigenous to Africa. But sometimes when we talk about Africa, and somebody said it earlier, Africa have everything. Africa does not have everything. Africa does not have everything. These people that we call the Caribbean Arawaks, the Kalingos, and them, and so on. When you trace back their history, the Olmec, the Aztec, the Incas, and all these people, though they may have came from the cradle of that civilization in Africa and had migrated and what's not, you have to understand that when it comes to migration, once that nation is formed, your ancestry does not go back to Africa. It go back to when that nation was formed. For instance, China. China have over 5,000 years of history. You're not going to hear the Chinese say they're from Africa. They're going to tell you where they're from and where their ancestors are from.
Yeah.
But when you go behind all of that, of course, the civilization may have started in Africa.
Yeah. We have a caller. Hello, caller.
Yes, good morning.
Yes. I'm surprised that you decided to come in on this, because go ahead.
Right.
Because it's kind of headings, kind of biblical in a sense, but it's social. So then, I take back my words. I take back
Yeah,
my words.
I
take
I'm,
back
I'm
my
particular
words.
about the social. not
Yes,
the-
I take
not
back
the
my
biblical,
words. Yes.
Right? Because you see, I was listening. I tried to be back and forth. Very
Yes.
difficult. But
Yeah.
I was listening to a speech by Donald Trump in Davos, Switzerland. And just like how Quint, I said that the world had changed when they went into Venezuela,
Yes.
this is reinforced, and even worse so, in the sense that he sounds like he's basically saying, I mean, it sounds like we're slow marching into World War III, and that's really frightening. Okay, one of the things that was said, I heard was said this morning, was the influence of dialect, and that we should not abandon it. But shouldn't we be really concentrated on how we're going to survive in this new world, in this new international order, and so on, and how what we teach in the school, what we do teach in the schools, are going to relate to that? Okay, because it's almost like now it's survival mode. It's all well and good to talk about Martin Luther King's speeches and all those kinds of things.
And we're not talking about those, eh?
Yeah.
Definitely.
We're talking about now. How are we going to prepare for what's coming in the future?
That is a key question there, yeah.
Right, and how, so our social interactions, whether between men and women, who should be in leadership and who should not be, what we teach the children, those kinds, how we relate to our neighbors, how we relate to Africa, how we relate to other nations of the world. All of those things are going to come into play.
Yeah.
And, well, I don't know about your guest, but it's going to take, I think, a collective approach to this thing, right? No, obviously there's no one man out there who has all the answers to this, right? And I think one of the foremost things that we should be doing is finding some kind of unified approach to this hemispherical takeover.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I don't know, it seems as if we're going back. It's becoming as if colonization is becoming, acceptable again.
It's being reinforced.
Yeah.
By will or by force, right? And we must have some kind of response to that if we don't want it to be history repeating itself.
You remember when we had a discussion when you said that the world had changed, but I'm going to go back to the guest because it's his program, but I'm going to ask you this question. You remember when you made that statement that the world had changed? The first question I asked is, how do we survive?
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a question that has become even more important. And that realization is not just by us, eh?
Yeah.
I mean, even Europe,
Yeah.
people who you would normally be associated with Western stuff, they themselves are now struggling to see how they're going to cope with this new international order. Okay? So I don't know. I know the guest has I guess, an overarching philosophy about these things and about what we should do. But I just wanted to make sure that, I'm not being conceited here, but point him in the direction of how we're going to respond to this international order. Because, as a matter of fact, maybe next year, Quint, you may not be allowed to have a program like this.
I agree.
When the President of the United States is speaking, is delivering an important speech, all of us, all the stations might have to carry it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I think it's as serious as that. So we have to sit up and take note.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to go right back to you.
Yeah.
Your answer.
Well, I'm so glad he said all that he said because he kind of fast-tracked the conversation.
Yes.
Because what he's saying is pretty much what we're speaking
Yeah.
about decolonizing.
That's it.
And so on. So you find that if, for instance, we did not learn from COVID, does it take a World War III for us to learn?
No, that's a good
It
question.
shouldn't need that.
Yeah.
We already learned from COVID. We learned how weak we are. We learned that food security seemed to be just a farce. And there are a lot of things when you even come to the very school and even the very technology that is so distracting to our youths. The teachers themselves are not even ready for that.
Yeah.
In COVID, teachers be taking the phone, taking pictures of a leaf, a page with work and sending it to parents. I mean, we're talking in 2020, 2021, this time frame, and you're doing that?
Yeah.
So it showed that we really need to get some stuff fixed. And while we may be distracted with other things, I'm talking now when it comes to leadership, we may be distracted with other things, and therefore we're not prioritizing these things like what the brethren just spoke of.
Yeah.
How do we survive?
How do we survive?
Almost all, and being a member of Gideon Farm, of course, we don't have conversation with some of these governing ministers and what's not. And all of them had said the same thing when we asked, do we have enough food to secure us? And every single one of them said no.
Yeah.
Not even for 3 months.
Yeah.
So if they know that, why is that not a priority?
I've been asking that question all the time. I've been asking that. Hello, caller.
Yes, fellas?
Yeah.
Yes. Be quick as possible. Now, mention was made that when somebody need help or you're helping somebody, you're not quoting scriptures. And John chapter 10 was used. But the thing is that Jesus Christ taught, first of all, you are to love God above all else, above everyone, with all of your being, your heart, strength, mind, body, soul. You are to love God above all. And secondly, you are to love your neighbor as yourself. And then he went into the parable of the man who fell among thieves, and the thieves then beat him up, and that sort of left him half dead. And the Samaritan came and helped him. And he showed from that is how you obey what he just said, one or two verses above, where how you love God above all else, and secondly, to that, how you love your neighbor as yourself. So it was all scriptures, and the Samaritan had at least the 5 books of Moses, at least that the Samaritans had. And the Samaritan who helped the man, the good Samaritan, he knew at least the 5 books of Moses, and this is what he was supposed to do in helping the fellows. And the Jewish priests who knew that, did not do it, but the Samaritan who knew it as well, they did, based upon what the scriptures say. So it's all scriptures, all throughout, all scriptures that would help tell us to help others and how we ought to, and not to go about in helping others. There's a right way in doing things and a wrong way in doing things, and we have to do everything the right way. And only the Bible would tell us the right way to do things. So it's all scriptures, all true. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, just to give Greg a quick response is just to say, we distinctly said quoting. All that you mentioned is that we should be living the scriptures and not quoting them necessarily. Yeah. Because there are times that you will not be able to be quoting them, but you should always be living them.
It's like, for instance, you get a cut, and when the person comes, rather than giving you first aid, they're telling you, well, the first step is this, and the second step is that, and the third step, while you're
just
bleeding.
deal with it.
Yeah.
Just do what you know to do. So, yeah, Greg, what was what you're saying, and as Quint said earlier, Agard is a Bible man. Yeah. So I am indeed into the Bible. So, and I'm not here quoting scriptures.
Yeah.
We're here having a discussion, and some of it may even lean into the whole ideas that come from scriptures, and also from other Asian texts that actually had society in ways that maybe we are trying to achieve. Because, like, look at us. When I was a little boy, I think food security was a thing.
Yeah.
Now we're trying to get back there. but trying to get back there using approaches or methods that apparently not working.
But who is trying to get back there? It took.
But well, by conversation, we're trying to
Oh.
get back there. Let me put it like that.
Okay,
By
because
conversation, we're trying to get back there. Not so much by will,
Yeah.
desire, or
it's like we're quoting scriptures.
yeah, well, exactly. We're quoting social scriptures.
You understand? And quoting scriptures won't feed us. You understand?
Yeah.
No, because I'm amazed because look, people might say, well, Quint does hit the Minister of Agriculture hard, but I have to, because agriculture that's how we're gonna survive.
But remember the minister and all the other ministers and those before them who there right now, it go right back to what we're talking about. So maybe somewhere along the way we could have conversations with them about some of these things too, because the whole idea is if you're not swept or taken up with some of these distractions like lust for power and greed and so on,
Yeah.
then to fulfill your duties as a minister and whatever guides that office should be priority.
That's what I would think.
But that is for another discussion.
And the reason why I say that is this. Man, how many times from how long we've been saying we need to be food sufficient. We recently heard some time ago that Guyana is the only place that can say it is truly food sufficient, food independent. And you mean you're hearing all this thing and you're not doing anything?
But what is the nickname of St. Kitts? In land of fertile soil?
Yeah,
Fertile soil to do what? Build houses?
it seems so.
Apparently. But look at the thing is, now we're talking about food and food security and so on. We do a lot of importing. And we are exporting our talents. We are exporting our excellence. It's like we prefer to hear that we have sons and daughters in America and in England and in Switzerland doing great than to have them here helping us build a nation. You what's going on there?
Yeah, but
It's like we're exporting, like we are producing children, sending them off to study. And when they have reached excellence, they're not helping us build anything here.
I spoke to that this morning. I think you and I have a mindset that
Okay.
is the same. I spoke to that when I said that one of the few things that Mark Brantley said recently, and I must agree with him, was that we encourage this brain drain.
Right. But it's kind of mystic that a minister of government saying that though, because technically they're in a position to deal with it.
Yes.
They're in a position to deal with it, and that's why we have elections, because the common man, so to speak, may not be in position to do certain things. So you like a body of people to take care of the issues that the people can't necessarily deal with. So they put you in charge to deal with it, and instead of dealing with it, they are distracted with other things.
Yeah, you're right.
And so therefore, I think that the general public, especially voters and so on, need to hold these, these people that we elect, and when they themselves bring people to the table to help them run their office and what's not, hold them accountable for what you voted for them for. Because as a taxpayer, we have to see ourselves as CEO of the country and not the dictatorship idea that when the voting is over and they're sworn in, that you have no say.
But that is why I said, and when you started, you said the only time we experienced true democracy is during that
Exactly.
election period. And recently I've been saying, and I know a lot of people were angry with me and still perhaps are, but I said that the world is full of, the majority of the people in the world are cowards waiting to be exploited. And it falls into what you just said. Why is it that you are the majority? You make a decision to vote for some people, but having voted for those people, you're going to sit back. The majority, is going to sit back. And next thing you hear, SSZ. Nobody spoke to you about it,
That's why I say we
But
get
next thing-
distracted.
you understand? And we hear this, and we hear that. And you just sit back and you don't do anything. All you do, you wait and you say, wait till the next 4 years or the next 5 years, I'm going to vote you out again. You yourself have fallen into the trap where you're serving the purpose for them and not for yourself. But hey, God, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
How could the people make demands when they don't even know what they want?
Well, I was just going to say this, Q. When we had this program they call the YES program that has now evolved to STEP PEP program, right? I taught some computer classes and what's not in my area. But you know which group had the attention of government?
Which?
Hospitality.
Okay.
It's not about the skills. It's not about the mechanic, the mason, the plumber, the electrician, the upholsterer.
It's about the catering.
It's about those who serve the colonial masters. So to answer what you just asked, that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with the people who feel like they just have to serve other people and not become entrepreneurs.
That's it.
To become critical thinkers and so on. So and then from that pool, we are electing our leaders.
And to strengthen that point, it goes back to where men are to blame because.
Well, and I always stand on that. I blame men for everything.
Because men are still the main in the political parties and so forth. They're the ones who are making decisions, and they are the ones who decided to move the curriculum. You know, when you and I were growing up, all of those things outlined were in school, the mechanics and the woodworks and all that kind of stuff, but they phased them out. They didn't put any emphasis on them. And so now when you have it, you're definitely going to have the men waiting for the girls to finish from the universities because the mothers, they learned from their experience. The mothers realized here we were pushed and we had to, jump when he said this or jump when he said that. And we want our daughters to be better. No problem with that. The women were empowering themselves. But at the same time, the men were being marginalized.
Right, and look at it. We have never had a female at the very top.
That's what I just said.
The
men are governing.
So, but then you say you have the men at the very top, and then you have men at the very bottom. But back to the hospitality thing that I mentioned. Look at one of the things is that, and even sometimes people call in on these programs and want to know, well, how come you ain't building a hotel? Why should we always want to build hotels? Because that's all we can do? Make beds, change curtains? Is that all we can do?
That is all.
So it seemed like we are not so interested into true nation building. We're more into nation serving.
But hear this. I don't even have a problem with building the hotels, but why can't we as a people get together and build some hotels and the hotels are owned by us and then we hire the maintenance and you understand what I'm saying?
And I could agree with that. However, I think we need to start from the very beginning, and the very beginning is to secure our food.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Secure our food, secure our young minds to become our new leaders. And if we just continue on this trend, this trajectory, we're not going to see any change. Matter of fact, in the very next election, all you're going to see is change of faces and names. But the ideology is the same conditioning mentally is going to remain.
That has been happening over and over and over.
So there have to be a drive, a thrust to decolonize our education system. I think that's where it all starts, because if we don't produce critical thinkers, we're going to remain in this colonial mindset. And I think and I know that our youths can achieve, they can become the better that we actually want and desire.
Let me make this point, and I want people to listen carefully. You, Mr. Agard, you just said during COVID you did computer classes. I've known you for years, and you are very versed when it comes to computer technology. But look at you. Somebody see you, and they say a Rasta man. And they just somehow think Rasta man is about weed and Jan. And then look at me. I have locks. I'm not a Rasta man, mind you, but I keep my locks because it is remembrance and a link with
part
my
of your
roots.
identity.
It is my roots, and I will not relinquish my roots and my heritage.
Right.
But when someone looks at me, they don't see an electrical engineer. They
Right.
see a Rasta. So here is it, you're there and I'm here, two Rastas in a sense,
Yeah.
but we are right up there when it comes to modern advancement. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So why aren't we seeing more of that?
Well, I kind of think, I mean, Sylvine could correct me. I think Sylvine even say the rest of them are partly to blame. And I could agree with her.
Yeah.
Because I do think that there's a portion of the community that look towards Rasta when it comes to certain moral construct.
Yes.
And if all we do is just talk and do nothing,
Yeah.
which we seem to be very good at, then we are also partly to blame.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, so I think we should start this conversation. I think we need to get the Minister of Education and his peers in here, and let's talk about this education system that is obviously not working for us, because to focus on how many CXC subjects you pass, but really and truly all you basically going towards is to serve,
Yeah.
is to, maybe work at the front desk, is,
Yeah.
and not becoming true builders. Not becoming true builders. And mind you, at the same time, even within the society, we tend to look down on skilled people and somehow congratulate and seem to push up the more academic achievers,
Yes.
and so on, and we let them run the country actually. But we have to realize, and I always use this analogy, if you have a country with all academic achievers and you have another country with all skilled people, and you just leave them there for about 15 to 20 years, I think that these academic achievers may migrate over to the skill country.
Not think.
Or they stay over there and die.
It's going to happen.
And by the time you visit the skill country, you see a thriving community.
And that fits into why men are to blame, because men are the builders, men are the,
Yes.
and so forth. And we have reneged that. And Sylvie was right. She says women are filling in because women feel like they have no choice. But at a certain point, women had a choice. Some women had a choice, but they chose the way the colonialist system put them into a mindset to lean towards a way where I could be completely independent. Nothing is wrong with being independent, right? But do not let your independence say that it means that men should not exist within the realm or in the space that you take up. You understand? And that is the problem. I don't have a problem with a successful woman, you understand, who is a doctor or whatever, right? But in that thing, or let's say she's a chemist, or, she's so many different things, right? High up on the education ladder in terms of in education and different sciences. My mind is kind of pulling a blank right now. But
the thing is, Qs, is that we are to prop up our queens, right?
Yes.
But the thing is that men seem to be narcissistic by nature for some reason or the other, and that distraction in itself have caused them to not bring that balance to the table.
Yeah.
Because a lot of things that happen, it just have to be about them.
Yeah.
And then
and you're speaking about men now.
I'm talking about men.
Yes.
You know, it just have to be about demand.
Yes, demand.
You know? And you find that there are some women who want to have that traditional relationship.
Yeah.
You know, where a man would be the motivator and the one who inspires and lead and what's not. There are some women who want that. There are some women who have stepped away from that and so on. So you find, and more so, sometimes step away from it because it is no longer attractive.
And again, it goes back to what you're saying, and we're not going to be soft on men either. It goes back to what you just said. A lot of us are narcissistic.
Yeah.
And we are so narcissistic that we even seem to be intimidated by the at growth of our women.
And that's it, because a lot of women who are, you could, let me use the term well off, let me
Yes.
talk how we talk out there, probably can't even find a man to be that mate,
Yeah,
that match.
on their level. Yeah.
Right? Because, as you say, some men are intimidated by that.
Yeah.
Now, so sometimes even the very conversation is not all people stimulated by touch. Some people are stimulated mentally.
Yes.
You know, and therefore, if you cannot have that type of conversation, it's better off the woman just be by herself.
Well, you see, women are stimulated more mentally, you know.
Okay.
Yeah. They're more passion. They're governed by passion, you know.
I hope the men and women are not understanding this as a gender war, but is more of a balance.
It seems to me that Sylvine took it as we were on a gender war.
Yeah, and it's not a war. It's to seek balance. Just like we seek to balance our hormones in order to be good, we also seek to balance how we exist in society, how we exist in the workplace. I think that balance is very, very important. And I think there are men out there who speak a lot about supporting women in certain things, and it's just a talk and not into their everyday reality. And so let me just don't talk this, let's behave like we mean it.
Yeah.
You know, so I know we're closing into the end, so.
And that balance you spoke about, as you said, it should go into the school, because that's another problem that we see. We don't see enough male teachers. Why is that? Because I remember when I was growing up, I went to the boys' school here, I went to partial school, and there were male and female teachers. Why is it that now we're seeing mainly women, and no men teaching?
That's a topic for another day.
Those are the problems that we're faced with. You see, men need. I know. Let me be honest with you. When I went to school as a boy, I respected my male teachers, and I respected my female teachers. I listened to when both of them came and they spoke in class. But when my female teachers came in, even though I respected them and I listened them, I admired how they looked. You understand? And I imagined myself as a grown man having a woman who looked like that. But when my male came in, I looked and I respected him and I admired him as a man. And I thought to myself, when I grow up, I want to be a man like that. You understand what I'm saying? But when you have only all women, what does the man have that he can assimilate with, that he can say, I want to be like that?
Yeah.
You see? These are the things that seemingly seem simple, but they carry big weight.
Yeah.
So like you said, we're going to have to pick up on that in another conversation. Yeah. So I'm going to let you wrap up. It's 2 minutes before.
Yeah. You know, as we started out, you know, is all about the whole colonization that we've been through all these years. And, you know, we have to have that conversation about decolonizing at least some aspects of it. I personally think that we need to decolonize the school system. I think that system that was designed by whoever we inherited from the churches and so on, and it served its purpose for that time, where you basically were producing a workforce that had to be obedient and so on. And I'm not against obedience, is that critical thinking was actually not a part of that process. And it seemed like when you become a critical thinker and you seem like you're challenging certain things that maybe the governing body at the time do not want, because you know the dictatorship then seemed to be under threat. So I think that if the politicians gonna speak democracy, let it be democracy through the whole 5 years that they're governing.
Yeah.
And this dictatorship style of leadership need to done away with. I think that they should resist the distractions and continue throughout their term and what's not with the promises that they made to the people.
Yeah.
And if they're going to be sidetracked with anything, let it be something that is in the same vein or even better than the promise itself. Because this idea that hospitality seemed to be king, where we have to make beds and mind you, I'm not knocking it to say that we shouldn't have those.
Yeah,
But that should not be our primary focus.
I agree.
You know, I think that skills should be looked at better. I mean, we have now purchased the ambitions of the youngsters with some of the programs we put forward, but we have not gone any further with them to make sure that they're not, you know, I mean, yeah, you put a patch, but you can't just leave the patch.
Yeah,
You have to now go to the root cause and get that surgery done
yeah,
and let our men become men in our society and start at least try to take back up the baton again
yeah.
and let that become attractive in a sense that, not to say we need to go back to all that traditional thing that was back then maybe in the early 19 this and what's not, but at least what worked, let's use that, and what didn't work, let's
Put
set
it
it
aside.
outside.
Yeah.
So I just want to give thanks for the listeners and even for those who called in. And yes, we have started the conversation and we're going to continue it.
So people out there listening, remember that come next month, AGOD is going to be on the first Wednesday, I think. Correct me.
Yeah, the first Wednesday in every month for now. And I hope if the conversation get good enough, we could say at least 2 Wednesdays in the month, because we don't want, at least I hope they're making the notes.
Well,
we don't want it to be too long.
If it's going to be 2 Wednesdays, I'm going to leave it up. If it's going to be 2 Wednesdays, then it means that on one of the Wednesdays at least you will come with a guest.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay.
Because that's the whole thing. We need some guests in here.
Yeah.
Because we are having conversations. So,
Yeah.
and also some of those things that was mentioned today, we definitely need to get to some of those conversations.
Yeah.
As we are not experts in most of them.
I agree. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. We now go to the WinFM headline news.
Found the sound 98.9 Win FM.
More than 42 million cars from 19 different